Welcome to another episode of My Story. Let's face it, ladies, life is busy, and more often than not, you're running on empty. She goes on to say, busy is not always necessarily good. I know because I'm extremely task-orientated. Today, my guest is entrepreneur, businesswoman, wife, and mother, Michelle Booth.
Thank you for having me, Rhonda. It's a great opportunity to share my story with any ladies that are struggling in their lives. And I think we need to talk more. We need to share our stories. So thank you for, out of the tragedy of your experience, that you've created this platform for us to talk.
You are very welcome. So, Michelle, you and I chatted, and you've had your fair share of loss and recovery. So there's always hope. Share with the viewers your story.
Where do I start? Let's go back to 2010. I always talk about the tragedy of 2010. That is when we lost our home through a fire, and we were at my brother's house helping him move when we got the phone call and had to rush back to the house not knowing what to expect.
So did somebody call and say,
Yes.
Michelle, your house is on fire?
Yes. So funnily enough, the house was actually for sale. We were renting at the time. And one of the neighbors noticed the smoke and called the agent. And the agent phoned us to say the house is on fire. So we rushed through from Tableview to Durbanville. And at the same time, sending messages to what we called then was a prayer chain. Letting our friends in our church community know that this is what's going on and please start praying. When we got there, there were 2 fire trucks, all the neighbors outside in our cul-de-sac. The house was black. The car in the garage was burnt. And it was a huge shock. It was a massive shock to us.
So it was a great loss, the contents of your home.
Yes,
everything that you owned.
Yeah, we lost just about everything. Lots of stuff was damaged. But in the same respect, from that prayer message that went out, within half an hour, half our church community was there helping us clear out the house, and they all took things to their homes to clean over the coming weeks.
So your village stepped in.
Yes, they did. For sure.
Your community stepped in. So Michelle, you and I know each other through our church community, and I remember getting that message to say the Booth house has burned down. And there was, as you say, this prayer chain, and people came and gifted you and your family and your husband with stuff that was lost or damaged. And tell us about that.
So one of the amazing stories was we had a visitor to our church, not related to the church, but he happened to be speaking to some of the pastors at the time and visiting for a while, and he was a developer. So when he heard our story or saw it on church news one day, they offered us a house to live in for free that they had bought with a plan to demolish.
Amazing. Grace.
So we lived in there for about 3 months. That was one of the many things: washing machine, fridge, kettle, all the things that we had lost had been replaced, that we needed for a time, because we stayed with my mom-in-law. She's amazing. We stayed with her for 10 months. So we were kind of displaced for about a year before we finally went into our own home.
And Michelle, your children were little at this stage. And so tell us a little bit about how they coped through this period with everything that they knew, and their comforts were taken away from them like in a twinkling of an eye.
Yeah. I think you kind of see the repercussions maybe as they get older, just in behavioral changes. I think when they're so little, yes, it is chaotic, but you don't know how much they really understand. They love the fact that Nana was around all the time.
Yes.
And it wasn't easy. We did have a couple of moments where we butted heads.
Yes.
But it was also such an amazing time for them to have Nana every night read a story to them, being part of the waking up in the morning, getting ready for school. So although it was tough, it was very special, I think, for them, and it's really solidified an amazing relationship that they have with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know her very well. And of course, Nana is still around.
Yes.
And we just chatted about her a minute ago.
Yeah.
Michelle, and then you journeyed from 2010 up until now. And then 2020 rocked our world, rocked my world, and it rocked your world incredibly.
Yeah.
Won't you just remind us what happened in 2020?
So on the 9th of June, I got a phone call from my dad in a flat panic, telling me that he can't wake my mum, and that he thinks that she had died in her sleep. And I remember running up and down the passage and trying to find Stephen in the house, because so much goes through your head. Is she just sleeping?
Yeah.
Can't he wake her because she's not feeling well? Or, what is really happening here? And again, sending out the message to my tribe saying, this is what's going on. I'm headed there again. Just please pray.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was in a state, and my mom was so beautiful. She had gone exactly how she wanted to go. It was totally unexpected.
It was sudden.
Sudden. She wasn't sick. So it rocked our family. Yeah, for sure.
So the loss of a parent.
Yeah.
The void it leaves in one's life. And you had a great relationship with her. And I've seen posts all over social media when it happened, and then from the time it happened. So how's life been from then till now, taking care of the other parent?
So straight afterwards, it was very difficult. Obviously, I had my own shock that I was dealing with, but very concerned for my dad, because I think he was also, that was the furthest thing from his mind, because he's a stage 4 cancer survivor. We thought he would be the obvious one to go because he had suffered so much. So the time straight afterwards was really probably going to my dad's house 3 times a day to make sure that he had eaten, that he was drinking, because he was really in a state of shock for a long time. He would just sit in his chair and stare into space.
So Michelle, to date, you juggle responsibility with your other sibling, visiting dad, and just going to take care of him. And how's that going? How's that working out?
So immediately after my mom died, within a couple of months, my brother secured a little townhouse near him, because we needed the income from the house, and moved him near my brother. So I try and see my dad in the week, but as work gets busier, that's not possible. But usually a Sunday is the day that we spend with him, whether we go out or I go down there. And a Saturday, my brother has him round for lunch after they've done shopping together. But in the week, he's on his own.
That's an incredible story, because you also juggle a very busy life. Both you and your husband are creatives. And I know that from knowing what you guys do, and you juggling children. And I think you have a teenager right now. How's that going, by the way?
A teenager and a preteen. I think she took Granny's death very hard. So it was never mind me being absent.
Yes.
She retreats into into her own little hole.
Yes.
And she was struggling. And we, as you know, I'm task orientated.
Yes.
I'm like, right, we need a family therapist, we need a psychologist, I need a psychologist. Like, let's just keep this ball rolling, because it can implode very badly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it has this ripple effect on everybody.
Yeah. But she's definitely seeming to settle. And I think, my mom's death made me realize possibly where I was failing as a parent, not being present enough.
Yes.
Because I'm on the go all the time. And the other day she said to me, "Sure, Mom, you are so different now. And it's much better." So that was like...
So they like the new mom.
They like the new mom. Yeah, more involved and more present.
So we're still talking 2020, the trauma and the effect of this global pandemic on all of us in some way or other. And then it kind of culminated towards the end of the year, and you took a toll on your life.
Yeah.
Tell me again, remind me of what happened.
So obviously there was so much chaos afterwards. My mum passed away. A week later we had the memorial, and 2 days later we moved house in lockdown. And you're trying to keep all the balls in the air, and you're doing your absolute best. But there comes a point where your body says enough is enough. And it got to a stage where I wasn't able to string a sentence together, let alone say the next word. Or I would walk from room to another room and forget what I was going. And it's not the normal mom busy kind of, because you stand there for another 10 minutes trying to figure out, and so
Why am
frustrated
I here?
why you're not here. And at that point, my GP said to me, how would I feel about going to a clinic? And I broke down in tears because I was so desperate for someone to tell me that it's okay to do that, that I need to go away and just be on my own.
Attached, isn't it, to going to a clinic?
Yeah. And in essence, it really is a place for you to just be on your own and be quiet. And obviously to assist with the medication, getting the balances right as well, because there is a time and place for medication. And you need to be able to continue in life, because life doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So I was just rolling with it. I was just like, bring it on, whatever we need to do, just do it, because
you're wired.
Yeah.
Almost like that.
I can't anymore. I've reached the end.
Yes.
So it was really actually an amazing experience for me to reconnect with God, because there's nothing else to do except just be quiet and listen to worship music.
Be still and know.
Yeah. And the sweetest moments I had there, and God just ministered to my heart, and just, redefined grace for me. And allowed me to go there in my head with my mom, and just think about her and be able to think about how I feel about her being gone. Who am I without her? Psychologist asked me that question the one day, and she said, "What do you fear?" And I just said to her, this definition of being motherless is very hard, because that's the only person that knows you intimately.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
Because you were created under her heart and inside of her, and so that was an extreme loss. And I think no one knows us better than our moms. I know my own daughters so well. No one knows them better than me. And then healing came.
Yes.
And restoration came.
Yes. So once I came out of the clinic, it was still touch and go with being able to work, and where I kind of was in my, more like the functioning of my brain.
Functioning optimally.
So, yes.
Took a while.
So spiritually, I remained strong throughout. And that comes with knowing where my mom was immediately. God gave me peace from that day onwards. So spiritually, I've never been stronger, but physically, it wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. And, I have such an amazing boss that she allowed me the space to just recover in my own time. They booked me off pretty much from after I came out of the clinic until January. So I had about 3 months off to just be. And we ended that time off with a family camping trip, just the 4 of us, because we needed that.
Yes.
And I came back from that trip finally feeling like myself again.
Like whole again.
Whole again. And even stronger. Like I mentioned to you, I had been praying for a long time before that about getting my courage and my boldness back that I had when I first came to faith, came to know Jesus, and just shouting it from the rooftops, like how amazing this God is. And I'm feeling that again.
Yeah.
I'm feeling there would have been no way at all that I would be sitting here talking to you right now if it was 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Michelle. And you also shared with me that now you almost feel bold and strong to share your faith with others, where somehow along the way you lost that. And now it's come back and you just want to just scream out your story to everybody.
Yeah.
And so
I think it's important, especially as women, I think, and possibly also in the church community, we kind of feel like maybe we've been looked like our lives are perfect and we kind of have to live up to that.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you open up and share your story, people realize, wow, she's just like me.
Exactly.
And I've experienced the same. So,
and that's why
it's not about me. And I've always had a heart for women. It's about,
I love that.
It's about letting them feel comfortable enough to share their story, and that we are all in this together, that life is just full of tragedy and trauma, and if you come to terms with that, and you are walking with people, with God, you know that this is just one more phase of the journey in getting there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I remember in my loss, my sister-in-law, which is Mark's younger sister, said to me, one day at a time, one thing at a time, one step at a time.
Yes.
8 months later, when I look back and I testify that I have walked a little bit longer, I've taken a few more steps at a time, I'm doing more than one thing at a time. And to me, it's celebrating those little wins and victories.
Yeah.
And so you can identify
for sure
with that.
That was definitely the words in my mind, and this whole journey is the one foot in front of the other. Just one foot. Yeah. Because that seemed so overwhelming to think that you are going to get through it.
Yes.
Not get over it, that you're going to get through it. And the mountain in front of you, but one foot in front of the other. And you do get there.
And I like that. That is like a story of hope that we say to our viewers, that you can't journey alone. You need your inner circle, your outer circle, that one person even who's part of your village and your community to get you through. And Michelle, your story and my story and your story gives inspiration and courage to other women who are going through the same or different. So we don't withhold the testimony, we don't withhold the blessing, we want to share that you can, if you have purpose, you can get there. No matter how slow, your story and your journey could be faster or slower, or your grieving process than mine or than yours.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Michelle, I read again a post that you say, and I love it. And you say, there are those out there that just love the finer things in life. It's a standard, it's a way of life. And if you are and can, why not? And there are those like myself who have tactile issues, and I have a daughter who has tactile issues about it has to feel right, it has to look right, it has to taste right, it has to smell right before she would love it or embrace it. You also go on to say, I need non-itch, which I love, soft marshmallows to step onto when I get out of the shower. So Michelle, before I let you off the hook, tell us what you meant by that.
So Off the Hook is a small business that I've had on the side for about 7 or 8 years. My husband is a photographer, so he is often, or before lockdown, often away from home or out at night. So it kind of became a craft that I had seen a poof that I'd wanted to make in a home magazine or something. And I made this poof. And then friends saw them and they wanted them.
So was it a hobby?
It was a hobby, yeah. And it kind of developed over the last 7 years into doing rugs and bath mats. And the marshmallows that I speak about is our recent launch of bath mats that we've done that are cotton viscose. And the finer things in life, I think, if you can afford it, or like the stylist said, rather invest in something that is more luxurious or costs a little bit more and lasts longer.
Which is timeless.
And I also think because life is so hectic and tough, we need these nice little things just to make our worlds comfortable.
Like the soft things.
The soft and marshmallow, So I think for a woman luxuriousness, having a shower, getting out onto the bath mats, and it being soft and cozy and comfortable and easy, and beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that how Off the Hook was born?
It was born that way, yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that. Do you have a community working for you now, or do you do it all by yourself?
So I was doing it by myself with Charity, who is my cleaner actually. But when she came to work for me, I discovered that she should crochet, that she could crochet. And I was like, yes, that's awesome. So I send the stuff home with her in the evenings. And then this year, once I kind of got up and running again and the fire was burning inside again, I've kind of recruited a whole lot of women. So including me, I probably have 9 ladies now that assist.
That's amazing.
And whether they are unemployed or live in the township, it's a combination of women in different ages as well. So that's enabled me to build up stock.
Yes.
I'm busy working on an online store, and yeah, I'm learning new
That's
things.
amazing. And what other products beside the marshmallow bath mats?
So then we do the crocheted bath mats, the poofs in small, medium, and large, and I do custom orders as well for rugs, anything really.
So can we find you on social media platforms?
Yes, we're on Facebook on @OffTheHookSA and the same handle for Instagram. Yeah.
And Michelle, thank you so much for sharing your story on this platform with amazing other storytellers.
Thank you, Rhonda.
If you enjoyed this episode, won't you please like, share, and subscribe? And we'll see you next time on the set of My Story.